Wednesday before Thanksgiving. I was coming home from New College in Sarasota. I just escaped prep school. The college was new. I was a work in progress. I'd just written an essay on Vietnam and learned the U.S. called off elections promised by the 1954 Geneva Accord. I asked the professor why. He said Ho Chi Minh would have won, and gave me a look that said more than all my research. I got a ride to Fort Pierce with a classmate. Crossing the state was a challenge. Buses took forever. Who crossed Florida? The middle of the state was crackers and alligators, and people said don't hitch at night. Hitchhiking was important. Who would take a bus when the open road beckoned? It was pride, the tinge of danger, possibility of adventure, and most of all, freedom. Freedom was in the air. It was 1965. Lunch was served at Fort Pierce. My classmates' parents were nervous, maybe because New College students were supposed to be elite. The house was a bungalow, and Rich's father made a point of saying he hadn't gone to college. I noticed a citation for bravery on the wall. I didn't know many adults who hadn't been to college. World War II seemed a long time ago. Fort Pierce to Boca Raton, where my family had moved, was 90 miles. I hadn't waited long when an Oldsmobile 442, 4 carburetors, 4 something else, dual exhaust, an original muscle car, when 0 to 60 measured time to paradise, stopped. The car had a Fort Benning sticker. Get in, where are you going? The driver was big, crew cut, not in uniform, didn't have a pronounced southern accent, but the modified Florida version. Boca Raton, home for Thanksgiving. I'm going to Fort Lauderdale, copy that for Thanksgiving. Nice time of year, I said. Sure, he said. I'm 24, kind of outgrown my welcome at home. Just got back from Vietnam. I hadn't met a person who'd been in Vietnam. I would later, but November 1965 was early for the general public. It was as if I conjured this out of my essay. Here was a soldier back from Southeast Asia. Here was me, neophyte writer. I didn't ask what he thought of the U.S. canceling elections. My father was wounded in World War II. His father lost a finger in the first. His father was wounded at Antietam. We used to play with his boot. A pencil was stuck where the Manet ball went through the ankle. I had nothing against soldiers, sometimes wondered if I might be one. Later, at the height of anti-war sentiment, I didn't criticize guys who went. If anything, I felt sorry for them. You could get a deferment if you were in college. Later, it seemed, you could get a deferment for anything. What's it like, I asked. Rice paddies, rich land, people, worth fighting for. I didn't say anything. We were on 95, the interstate, not 41, the Tamiami Trail, a crowned road with 5-foot snakes crushed on the blacktop, lined by black, weed-choked canals that looked like they swallow cars, weapons, people on the land. He shook his head and said, "You got it, Dick. You're in the United States Army." I smiled, never heard the expression, and wouldn't repeat it to my grandfather or father, though for all I know, they already knew it. You do guard duty, lots of guard duty. Tell you why. The stuff is so shitty, if somebody stole it, they'd be back in 2 hours trying to give it back. You got it, Dick. You're in the United States Army. I laughed. There's some fun times, and not so fun, I said. Yeah, he said, looking me over. It was one of those looks when a person decides whether you're okay. Was I a jerk going to college while he got drafted? Was I smart enough, cool enough to talk to? Too sheltered? Ignorant? Maybe I pushed it, thinking we could talk. You got it, Dick. You're in the United States Army. I tried to talk football, The University of Florida Gators and the quarterback, Steve Spurrier, were good that year, but he hadn't told me his name. He never told me his name. Said he'd been out of the country and didn't follow it. I mentioned the World Series and Sandy Koufax. That guy's pretty good, he said. Maybe the best ever, I said. He shrugged, never cared much for baseball. What are you going to do now, I asked. Don't know, but got time to figure it out. He drove fast. He was restless. I couldn't tell if he were bored or had something he wanted to say. I wanted to ask about the war, but didn't. It was a funny feeling between stupid and irrelevant. I closed my eyes and pretended to relax. I wasn't relaxed. People always ask if I killed anybody. I opened my eyes, looked quizzical, didn't say anything. I was a door gunner, Huey's. I killed people. That's what you're there for. Dangerous, I said with a trace of admiration. The safest place is the treetops. The worst is 600 to 1,500 feet. The gooks get a bead on you. Small arms fire. You want to be in the treetops. Sometimes you can't, like going down rivers. Image of helicopters ascending, flying down rivers, jungle on either side, hunting, wild, extravagant, crazy, free. You got to get low to follow tracks. You learn to track like an Indian. Cowboys and Indians, good guys, bad guys. How do you land in the jungle, I said, needing to say something. Any way you can. Gets hairy. We don't always land, sometimes just soften up LZs. Landing zones, rockets, M60 machine gun. The VC hide everywhere. They got bunkers, tunnels. They dig in and wait. We clear them out, keep their heads down while the slicks land. Slicks? Troop carriers. He spoke without emotion, not without nuance, just without emotion, like my father talking about World War II, which he didn't do often. Firing into the jungle, mud, swamp, at what you can't see, sounded like shooting trees, mountains, the horizon. You never know where the gooks are. They got tunnels, a fuck of a lot of tunnels. They got underground, we got the air. Air sounds better, I said. You don't know which gook is friend or VC. Children, women, old people, anybody can throw a grenade, rat out your position. Will you go back? This was personal, very. He didn't say anything, just held the wheel with one hand. Then he looked at me. If you've been in country 6 months and someone points at a woman and says she's VC, you blow her fucking head off, walking right up to her with a .45, even you. He gave me a look, which like the professor said something not in books. It chilled me, too honest or too real or too much what I didn't understand but did. I thought of Huey's lifting off, filling the sky, sweeping over rice paddies, rocketing a village, and thought of the words, "How art thou fallen, O son of the morning?" I wasn't religious and I don't know the Bible, but that's what I thought. I thought of killing a woman, blasting her from a gun port, and racing over the trees. I thought of holding a .45 in my hand. I thought of my father and his silence. He has a deep scar on his back, scars on his right leg and foot. As a child, I was told the war, that's all he would say. That's all they would tell me. A war long ago and far away. Vietnam was far away, but for an instant it wasn't. A trace, a whisper here. Was it his indifference, the one-hand tense casualness? The assurance of prediction, unavoidable, personal, fatal. I didn't say anything. He didn't say anything. Quiet, personal. We got to West Palm and he said, when it's time, join the Air Force. Tell you the difference between the Army and the Air Force. He gestured at a sign for a motel offering color TV and air conditioning. You get a room for the night and I get a shack in Poor Town. I laughed. He didn't. I asked to be dropped off in Boca, but he drove me home. He let me out at the end of our street. He wouldn't come in. It felt like I'd known him a long time.